In this demo, we're going to be looking at iMovie, the desktop version of iMovie. So if you have a Mac computer of any kind, you should be able to get iMovie for free if it already didn't come on your computer. Just go to the App Store and go ahead and get it. So iMovie is one of my favorite editors. It's the one that I use the most. I actually use it to both record my videos and edit them all in the one place. Now, iMovie does use a lot of processing power. So before you start using iMovie, especially if you're going to use it to record videos, it's important that you close the other programs that are operating on your computer. So I would go along my little thing here and make sure that anything, well, Camtasia is what I'm using to record the screen now, so it has to be open, but anything else I would make sure to close. And then I go over here into the upper right-hand corner and I close any of these lovely things that work in the background. So you'll find that if you have, things like Evernote and stuff like that, it operates in the background. That uses up just a little bit of processing power, but I get rid of absolutely everything and I turn off my Wi-Fi. So that way my computer won't be doing any background processes and I get as much processing power as I need for iMovie. So then you will open up iMovie, and when you first open iMovie, you'll see a screen that looks something like this, only minus all of these Neve faces. So you'll open up to where there's this Create New button, where you can create a new project. That is where you start every video that you are going to edit in iMovie. So you hit Create New and open it as a movie, not a trailer. Okay, so that should take you to this screen here. Now we are within a project. Now a project is where we work on a video. This is not where we are actually saving the final video. This is just where we work on it and put together the different pieces that we want to go into the final video, which we're going to then export and share at the end. Now, when you first open a new project, it should open into a page that looks like this, where you're on the My Media tab and you're in the Project Media. If you see a bunch of stuff here already, that means you're in your libraries of like different images and stuff that you have. So you want to come back here to Project Media, and then you should see this Import Media button. Okay, so all of your media will live in here. Now, media are all the different types of files that you can use in your video. So that would include video clips, that would include images, that would also include sound and audio files. So if you wanted to have music on it, and we're going to do all of those things in this demo, all of them will live in this little library. Now, anything that's in the project's media library is stuff that you can potentially use, but you don't have to. Okay, so down here along the bottom is your timeline. Now, anything on your timeline will be in your final video. That's super important to understand. Everything on here is what is going to end up in the final video if you are to export that video now. And then up here in the upper right-hand corner is the preview pane. So the preview pane shows you what your video is going to look like once we export it and once we save it as an actual video. So all the stuff you can use up here, pulling it down into where you want to actually use it and begin to edit it into a proper video, and then you can preview your video up here in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, so those are the most important things that you need to know about. Now the first thing that we want to do is have a video to edit. So what I usually do is I actually record most of my videos through iMovie. So I'm going to show you how to do that, but also how you can just add regular video clips to it as well. So when you click Import Media, you're going to get several options. You're going to be able to import from your hard drive or from various folders on your computer. Okay, so if you already have your video recorded and you have it as a video clip somewhere on your computer, you can bring it in here. So I'm using everything in this folder, editing demo. I have an MP3, which is my audio file. I have an M4V, which is my video clip. I have two of them actually. And then I also have a JPEG here, JPEG image. So I have audio, two movies, and an image. So I'm going to go ahead and import all of those. Okay, so now you'll see that voila, all of these things are now in the media library, but they are not necessarily on the timeline yet. So but I've got my audio clip, 2 video clips, and an image. But I'm going to go back to now record a video. So now you'll see I don't have that import media button, it's gone. But up here in the upper left-hand corner, I have this little down arrow that says import video from a camera or folder on your computer. So at any time I can go ahead and click that down arrow, or I can hit Command I and I will be able to import, okay? Because I also want to show you that you have your cameras listed here. So I can click on my FaceTime camera and hello! And I'm not framed very well. I don't have my camera lifted up and I'm angled funny. So I would normally have this all set up. Then I can hit record and go, hi, it's Neve. Go ahead and stop recording. And then if I hit close, you'll see now I also have this video here, which I can use, okay? So now all of my different imported bits of media are in my media library and I can start to make my final video, okay? So we've now imported a video, an image, and a song. The next thing to do is to place our video onto the timeline. So let's say this is the main video. I simply drag and drop it here onto the timeline. Now you'll see that because my video is actually, it was filmed not in widescreen, so what it's done is it's kind of zoomed in on my video. If iMovie does anything automatically to your video, if it changes the audio or if it adjusts anything as sort of an automatic fix, you'll see that one of these icons above your video here in the preview pane turns blue. So this one turned blue because it cropped my video. It changed it so that it would fill the entire screen, but I'd rather have it fit so that it will, it'll now have black bars at the side because this video was recorded on a camera that didn't have widescreen. But I'd rather, you know, have the proper framing than this cropped thing. But I could also move this around. So this is what's in this white box here is what's going to actually show in the final video. So I'm going to go ahead and have it fit the whole screen. Okay. Now these other icons here, there's like a magic one, which is do all of your magic stuff. You can turn that on or off. That's, you know, turn on like all of the automatic things that it thinks of to do. The next one is color balance. If your color is funky, you can play with that. You can play with the white balance. Things like that. So you can play with the color. The next one here is where you are, let me see, what is this officially called? Color correction. Honestly, I've never used these in any of my videos. Cropping is where you're adjusting the size of the screen. Stabilizing shaky video would be where you turn on a stabilizer if there's any motion, but I don't actually have any motion in this one. Volume. Now volume is pretty important. So here I can adjust the volume of my video. So if my mic wasn't very good, I could say, okay, you know what? I want to turn up the volume on this video because it's ended up being a little bit too soft or too quiet. You can also hit auto. So with auto, it will turn up the volume if it thinks it's too quiet and turn it down if it thinks it's too loud. I like the auto features in here. They're pretty good. Okay, so the other thing, and also it's important to point out that the things that we're doing here, these icons that we're working on, are for whatever is selected on the timeline. So if you look down at the timeline, this video clip is in yellow, but if I added a second video clip, then I'd have to be doing different things for whatever it'll have different the icons. I can only adjust the icons for whatever is a piece of the video I've selected in yellow. So look, when I drag this other one on, now it's suddenly going, oh, now it's zoomed back in. So I can go ahead and fit, and I can say, okay, let's auto that volume, have it go up to 187, because I think that's what we did with the last one. And so on, you know. So now I've been able to adjust some of the things. Let's go through the rest of them. This next one is the equalizer. So if you find that you have a lot of hissing on your video, if there was like a weird microphone noise or something like that, you can click reduce background noise. You can play with the equalizer a little bit if you feel that the voice isn't coming through clearly. Again, this is something I don't do a lot of. The next one is the speed. If you wanted to speed it up, I could go slow, I could go fast, I could freeze frame, but I'm just going to leave the speed at normal. Normal, please. The next one is clip filter. I've never used, so I don't actually know what it is. And then finally you get the info, which is the info about this piece that we're looking at. Okay, so while we have this selected, let's just make sure we, I wish I hadn't clicked stabilize. Oh, there we go. Stabilize shaky video. And if you ever want to, you can always hit the reset. So if you came onto here and you go, oh, no, let's just reset it back to normal. And like, oh, I don't actually have background noise, you can hit reset back to normal. And that should work. So, okay. So then let me see, what's the next thing on our list to do? So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to split our video. Okay, hang on. Our video is still showing a custom speed. So let's go ahead and hit reset on that. And I think what it is this little thing, this little thing along the top of the video is doing something. But again, you can just put it all to normal and it should be fine. Okay. So, so the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to trim and cut out bits of the video. So if you see in this video, and here we've got it kind of laying out, just below the preview pane on the right hand side, you'll see this zoom in and out button. So if I do this, like if I put it all the way down, it looks like these video clips are just tiny, right? And if I zoom in more, I can see it more clearly. So I like to zoom in and then scroll over so that I can see where a video starts and ends. So if I want to trim out the start and end of the video, the first thing that I do is go ahead and find, well, where did it actually start? And it looks like actually in this video I had a bit of a false start. I started, then reset myself, and then started again. So the reason I look at, or what I'm looking at is the audio. So along the bottom of this video clip, you'll see that there's sort of the audio indication of when I'm talking. So I looked for right before I start talking, I put the white bar there and I click on exactly where I want my video to start. And then what I do is I double tap it. Let me see, I think I can double tap it or not. Yes, if I double clap, so tap with 2 fingers on your mouse, you can split the clip. It's like a right click, so then it'll give you some options. So you can split the clip, which is Command B, and then it's broken it now into 2 clips. So now these 2 clips can be treated like 2 separate videos. If you don't split the clip, there's no way to get rid of part of the video and not the other part. So now I can simply delete that part that I didn't want. So I selected it and hit delete. And now it's starting where I wanted to start. Now the only thing to look out for with this is just making sure that you're doing it at the right place. So if I now were to watch it and go, oh, that wasn't quite right, I could simply go File and do Edit, Undo, Delete. And then I could do Edit, Undo, Split, and it would put the video back together where I want it to be. But instead, I'm going to hit Command B, split the video into 2 clips, and delete the piece that I no longer want. Then I would go to the end of the video, scrolly, and simply put the white bar where I want it to be, hit Command B, and then delete that piece as well. Okay, so now I have been able to split this clip and trim out the start and end. So the next thing I want to do is, what if I wanted to delete a piece from the middle? Well, again, you do the exact same thing. So you find the place that you want, Command B will split it, or you can come up here into Edit and find your, I think it's Edit. Hang on, let me put the white bar on. Edit, and let's see if we can find out how to split it if you don't remember the exact, it's in Modify, okay? So you put the white bar where you want it to happen, you go up to Modify and hit Split Clip, okay? Then you can make sure that the piece that you want to delete is highlighted in yellow by clicking on it once, and then hit the delete button on your computer, and voila, you've now just totally cut out a piece of this video. So then what you want to make sure to do is watch that it transitions pretty naturally from one bit to the next. So that was kind of a funny jump, but it still works. So if you needed to edit out something in your video, that's what you do. You split the clip at the start of the bit you want to edit out and the end of the bit you want to edit out, and then delete it. Okay, so we've now split, trimmed, and deleted bits and cut bits from the video. Now the thing we want to do is add another clip. Now we've actually already done this, but I'm going to go ahead and delete that clip and say, let's use this piece and drag it down onto my timeline. So there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can just click on it and drag down, or you can click on it and hit this plus button and it pops itself onto the timeline. And look, now there's two instances. So you would actually see this. If I was to save the video now, you would see it with two bits of this clip at the end. Now the other thing that will sometimes happen if you're not terribly careful is that you might accidentally see this yellow bar. You might accidentally make it only take up part of the video, and then it's only going to put a little bit of the clip on. So what I do is I would double tap it to make sure the whole thing goes yellow and hit the plus, because you don't want to try and edit in here. You want to add the full clip and then trim out the bits you don't want. Now see how these two videos here in the media library now have an orange bar on them? That orange bar means that they are in use in this video. So this clip now isn't in this video at all, this image isn't in, this song isn't in, but these two videos are in use on the timeline in this video. So I'm going to delete the extra instances of them. So look, now I have one video and it goes straight into the second video. So now this is really awkward because it's two different versions of Neve, two different lightings, two different setups, two different cameras. So if you are cutting a bit from the middle of a video, I like to use straight cuts where you just go from, where did we have one? Where you cut out a piece and it just plays one and then it suddenly jumps. That's the least distracting thing you can do. But if you have something massively changing, then it's good to add a transition, something between this clip to take someone from this clip to the other, okay? So up here above my media, you'll find the word transitions. So if you click on that, you'll see that there's all these different transitions that you can use. You can use cross dissolve, cross blur, fade to black, fade, all of these different things, right? So what you want to do is go to, let me just scroll back over. So I'm going to the bit where I want to transition, which is between these two video clips, and I drag one in between. Okay, so iMovie will show this little double triangle thing. That's a transition. So now it's going to cross dissolve, meaning it's going to start dissolving one and then the other one will start dissolving in. Okay, so if I hit play now, it dissolves into this new video. So it gives just enough of a transition to be like, this is something new. Now I can again select that one in yellow and hit delete and it goes away. I could do a fade to black as the transition in the middle. So let me try that. And that fades out and then fades. So it fades kind of, it goes down to black and then up from black. So again, this just gives the eye a little moment before the new video comes in. You can do all kinds of things. The swap, for something like this that's this drastically different, it might be fun to do a swap. So it goes away from one and into another. So you can play with these all you want. One of my favorite uses of a transition is fading to black at the end of my video so that it's not just a cut. So what I do for that is I drag the transition to the end clip. So it doesn't have to be between two clips. A transition can just sit there on the end, and what will happen is it will fade the video out for you. So you see it go away. Okay? So we have added a transition. So now that we have like the end is pretty good, that it's fading out, now we want to do something at the beginning. Now you can add a transition to the start and have it fade in from black, or you can add titles, or you can add an image. So we're going to first start with a title and go ahead and use some of the automatic things here that you have in iMovie. So what's cool is that these titles are animated. They kind of move around on the screen. Most of them do. So I could say, okay, I just want a standard title and I want to stick it at the front of this video. So I'd put in my different text. I would type these things in. I can even change the font. And if you need to come back to this, if you're over here and then you go, oh, I want to change the edits, you'll see that you come back and it's treating it like a video clip. So then I can double click on the text itself and change it. So I can play around all I want with those titles. And then what happens, let me just play it from the start. If we preview it now, see it's doing this like slow fade in, and then it's jumping to the next thing. Now my processing went a little low there, so it's not showing exact. It should look a little more like fade and go through and then go on to the next one. But I would probably add a transition here so that the next one is fading in a little more smoothly. So, so that's if you want to have a title bar at the front, but you also could take these titles. This is what's interesting here. You can take these titles and drag it so that it sits on top of your video. So now what will happen, and we've still got that transition, let me get rid of it. So now what will happen is it's actually going to go on top of the video itself. So if I hit play now, you'll see the titles pop up in front of me. I actually quite like this one. I wouldn't probably use that particular type of title. I'll go back up here to the titles bit and probably grab one that happens in the lower third of the screen. So it'll have the titles on here, and then I can hit play, and you'll see the title pops in, and then it's going to fade itself out again. So that's another kind of really elegant way to add a title, and if you double click on the text, I can change it. Okay, so now I've added text. What's cool about this is in iMovie, titles is also words, right? So if you wanted to add words somewhere else, so let's say somewhere else in this, you said something that was just wrong, like you used the wrong word or something that you want to fix that's just like an elegant little, oh gosh, man, I said the wrong thing. You can put a title anywhere and you can say, oops, meant to say XYZ. So if you said the wrong thing, you can always do that, and you can always make kind of correct yourself that way. So let's see what that looks like. So you've just dragged it on top of the moment that you want to say that. You hit play and you'll see it pop up. So this is like an annotation. What it does is it just lets you correct something if there's an inaccuracy, so that you don't have to go and re-record the entire video, which would be kind of a pain. Okay, so now we have added a title and we've added overlay text, and you can play with all of these different ones. There's some really fun ones. I've actually used this pixie dust one before. Actually, let's go ahead and make it a video. So let's insert it in between. So if you wanted to, you could play around with having a really fun title like this, where it's a little bit more animated. And again, I would put a transition in there. Let's try this one, Boogie Lights. So let's go ahead and play this one. So it's kind of like flashing all around, and then again we'd need a fade or something. So, but let's go ahead and delete these off the timeline. Anything on the timeline will end up in the final video, okay? So you can play all you want with all these text options. You can turn it into a part of the video itself, or you can have it hover over the top of your video. Okay, so now we've added title and overlay text. The next on my list is image, okay? So you can add an image to your video anywhere on the timeline. Now, I like to occasionally use an image while I'm talking. So you can, again, just like the title, you can use an image that sits on its own between two clips, or you can have it lay on top of your video so that they see the image but hear you talking, okay? So let's go back to the My Media and let's grab our image. So I've got, this is a little thumbnail that I actually created for a different thing, but here's my favorite thing to do with images. I use images as title cards, kind of. So I will go and create an image like this in Canva. I will create my thumbnail. I drag it to the front of my video, and then I let it go into my video. Now, when you drag something to the front, it will always make it 4 seconds. That's way too long for a title shot. So I usually will shorten it right down to about 2 seconds, and then I put a usually cross blur. I think I put the transition cross blur. So that means that they'll only be seeing this image for a little bit, then it's going to go into my video. Now you see how the image moves? So let's select that, and what has it done? It's done something automatic, right? Because there's something happening that's not the actual image itself. So we select the image and we go, oh look, it's got this crop section in blue. It is Ken Burnsing the image. So what that does is it has it slowly zoom in or slowly zoom out on a clip. You can actually adjust all of this, but I like to leave it automatic. So when you put in an image, it's automatically going to do this Ken Burns effect where it slowly zooms into the image. So if you said, no, I just want a static image, you turn that off by hitting fit. Okay, so then you're saying just fit it, just play it. So then it's just going to sit there like a static image and then fade into my video. But I love that Ken Burns effect because it gives some movement. It gives you the sense of it's a video. So I'm going to go back to select it, hit that crop button option above the preview pane, hit Ken Burns. It's going to automatically do it. If you wanted it to zoom way far in, you can actually adjust these boxes. So you can have it like zoom right in. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that's the start and that's the end. So it's actually going to zoom right out. It's going to start very zoomed in and end very zoomed out. So let's play. Whee! So then it looks like it's happening faster, but it's kind of too much. So let me just whoop, hit the reset button. It's gone back to just a static image. I'll just hit the Ken Burns again and it's automatically done it into this really nice way. It's going to be zooming in very gently, so I can go ahead and slowly zoom in and then start talking. Now again, the other thing I could do with this is flip it. So if it's upside down or right side up, I can flip it around to the correct way using these buttons up here in the crop section. Okay, so now I've got my nice little title card. This is my favorite way to do titles, guys. So I go and make the thumbnail in Canva, stick it here, and then I have that same JPEG image to become my YouTube thumbnail. If I did that, I would delete this title and then keep my little annotation note there. The other way that you might want to use a image is on top of what you're talking, like we talked about. So again, what you would do is you'd come up to the image in the media library and drag it onto the timeline where you want it. So if, say, here I start talking about the iMovie demo and then it goes into this image. So this is a great place to use slides. This is a great way to use illustrative pictures and things like that. So I might expand this. What I would do is say it's 4 seconds and go, yeah, no, I actually want it to be much longer than that. I want it to come all the way to here where I stopped talking about this topic. Then what I would do is go ahead and click on the end bar and drag it out to where I want it to stop, okay? And then it's going to sort of like, that will slow down the zoom, or I might come up here and hit that crop button and turn it back to fit, or I might turn it back to Ken Burns. I might adjust the start and end to make it do what I want it to do. But the idea is that you can put this image on top of anything, anywhere that you want to actually have it, right? So, so that's a great way to use an image as well if it's illustrative. So right now it's still, so it's really not doing anything. Oh, you know what? It's not even still. It's just that because now I've extended it to 9 seconds, it's moving so slow you can't even see that it's moving. So I would say maybe just zoom in quite a bit more, center that, and let's bring my white bar back here so I can watch it again. And so it is zooming a good bit faster. So now the only thing left to do is add music. We've got our image on in a couple different ways. We've got our video clips on. So now we want to add some music, okay? So now with music, you want to use music very, very sparingly in your videos. Music can be a great disruptor of that connection because often then people don't feel like they're having a real conversation with a real person. So what you want to do with your music is have it come in only when it really enhances what you're talking about. So it could come in when you have a image on the screen. It could come in when you're telling a story. It could come in right at the end. I often use music at the end of a sales video when I'm telling people what outcome they might be able to get if they purchase a product from me. So what you do with music is the same as what you do with everything else. You drag it onto the timeline. Now you'll notice that your timeline will automatically arrange visual stuff on top and audio on the bottom. That's just kind of how it does it. So you can drag this around to where you want it to come in. The main thing you're looking out for with music is that it's so much more likely to drown out the talking. And if people can't hear you talk, they will stop watching. So I always put the volume very low. Now I know because this is selected in yellow, whoop, jumped. Let's see if I can get back to where I was. It's kind of jumping around. Okay, let me scroll over. Okay, so because it's selected in yellow, I can come up here and I can change the volume up here. And do you notice how down on the green thing, now the volume has gone down? See, there's this little bar, this little black bar that when you hover over it turns white, that goes right in the middle. If you click on that, you actually can adjust the volume right there, up and down, up and down. So with music, I almost always wouldn't have it at about level even 13 to 20. You want to be very careful and just listen. So you want to keep previewing it and listen. Does it drown you out? This does drown me out. So then the other thing I could do is come up to my clip and put my volume up, but then I'd have to make sure that it matches the exact same volume as this one, because we want to we don't want to have this be a weird jump, and these two clips are different. So then scroll over to your music and just put it right down. So I'd put it down to about 10%. Oh, it keeps jumping. I'm just going to come up here and put it down at 9%, let's say. Okay, now the other thing that we want to do is look at, let's zoom right the way in and go back to my music. Where did it go? Because we want to make sure that we can fade in the music. So if you see this dot at the start of your music, that dot is a fade in. So if you click on it, you can drag it over and say, how long do you want the music to slowly fade in for? So I find that if you're going to have music on top of audio, you do want to have a fade so it's not just suddenly like, boom, here's the music. So I can fade it in and then I can fade it out. Now here's something really important that I want to show you. Because I've added this music to the bottom of the video, now my video length has gone up to 5 minutes and 47 seconds. You'll see that up here. Because at the end of where I have visual stuff, the music continues. So this video, if I were to save it now, is going to be, let me see, where does this, the video finishes at 3:15, and then there's 2.5 minutes of nothing but music. So that's not what I want. So I have to come to the end of the video, put the cursor at the end. In fact, I'll come right to the end of the transition, put the cursor there and make sure that I've selected it so that there's a yellow bar around my little audio. Hit B to split it and then delete that extra one. So now my video length is 3 minutes and 16 seconds. I'd come onto this to find that little ball right at the end to drag so that it fades out, so that the music fades out as well. Okay? And that is how we add our music. So now we have a completed video. I mean, I didn't cover absolutely every single thing that iMovie can do, but what I wanted you to do is to be able to add all the bells and whistles and do all the things and get some basic understanding of how iMovie works. So you'll see here in the media library, we've used a piece of the audio. We've used 2 video clips. We didn't end up using that one. We used an image. Down here, everything that's on this timeline is going to end up in our final video. So I've got a title image at the start that zooms in and then fades into my video. I have my nice picture illustrating my point that hovers over it. I cut out a bit I didn't like. I added a text animation, and again, if I said, oh, that actually needs to be a little bit longer, I can make that longer. I used a text annotation to say, oh, I made a mistake here. Then toward the end, I had some music fade in very gently. I transitioned between one video clip to another video clip. I faded out the video clip here at the end, and I faded out the music at the end and made sure that the music ended where the video ended. So voila, I have now made a bells and whistles-y video. So there's 2 things that I want to do next, because right now I don't have a video from this. I've just edited edited it and put together a project of what I want the video to be. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to make sure that I save the project, which I think actually happens automatically. Oh yeah, it's if I click back to projects, it's going to save it. So I'm going to say demo video and click OK. And that would actually take me out into my other project. So let me just go back, double click to go back into this project. The next thing I want to do is export my video. So you'll see all the way up here in the upper right hand corner, I have here my sharing options. Okay, so when I click this up arrow, it's your sharing options. That also, I think, will show up here. Let me see. Yeah, if I hit share under file, it's going to give me these same options. I just always click the up arrow. Now, it will allow you to share it in your theater, which is part of iMovie I don't really use. It will allow you to upload directly to YouTube or Facebook or Vimeo. I don't use any of those things. What I use is file. I save it as a file so that it will become a video on my computer that I can do something with. So I can give it a file name. This might be my keyword, whatever it is. I'm saving this as the demo video. What you want to do then is make sure that it's video, because you could say audio only, and what that would do is it would just save the audio from your video, but I save it as a video. The resolution, there's really no need. Now this video, I only have the option for 720p. That's the quality level of the video, right? So 1080 would be full quality. You really don't need 1080. What it will do is it will make a much bigger file that's very hard to upload. Now 540 will maybe reduce the quality a bit. So 720 is a pretty good resolution to aim for. Now again, it'll let me pick quality low, medium, high, or best. I usually stick to quality high, and I usually compress at better quality. So under this video, it's going to tell you that this video will take up 301 megabytes. That's the estimated file size of the video. So as you play around with these, it's going to tell you how it adjusts and change. So if I turn the resolution down and make it low quality, it's only going to be 63.7 megabytes. But if I do that, it's going to be very low quality and hard for my audience to see. So you want to do this based on what's going to be a great experience for your audience, but still be a small enough file that it's easy for you to upload. Okay? So then I would hit next, and what will happen is I can go ahead and say demo video, and I'd hit save, and it will then take the time to compress. So while it's compressing, you'll see that there's this little circle up here. You wait for the circle to go completely white, and then it will say it has finished exporting, and then you can go and watch your video. And I always do, at least certainly when you're first doing editing, you want to watch your video the whole way through before you upload it, just to make sure that there's no glaring errors, trailing off audio, or any mistakes in it. If you do find any mistakes, you come right back into the project, make the edits that you need to make, and then share it. Do the share button and save it as a file again. Make sure that you save all your projects as you go so that you can continuously come back and make any adjustments that you want. And there you go. You have created a fully bells and whistles video in iMovie.